And now I'm going to raise the ghost of Grayling. You may be confused as to why, but if you know me well enough, if you don't know me by now, as Mick Hucknall famously sang, you will never, 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 never know me at all. Because I can tie Chris Grayling, the current catastrophe on the motorways around Dover, and Rishi Sunak's wife's tax embarrassment together in the easiest of ways. If you doubt me, just watch. Here is Chris Grayling speaking, what, is it about 4 years ago, almost to the day, March 2000. You remember Chris Grayling, don't you? Super Ships. The bloke, yeah? Here you go.
Kent, where Dover is the Garden of England, and a lorry park, because it's estimated that queues 20 miles long, 29 miles long, would be the result of a 2-minute check on lorries going through Dover. Chris Grayling, you're the Transport Minister, the Transport Secretary. What are you going to do to prevent it?
So the answer to that is absolutely not, for 2 reasons. The first is that we will maintain a free-flowing border at Dover. We will not impose checks in the port. It was utterly unrealistic to do so. We don't check lorries now. We're not going to be checking lorries in Dover in the future. Absolutely clear, it cannot happen. The second point, well, it can't, and it won't.
The customs union.
I mean, because you're in Europe now, so there are no checks.
Okay.
When you leave Europe, there may be.
That's an announcement. There is going to be a customs
Let me be clear. We will not, in any circumstances, create a hard border in Dover that requires to stop every lorry in the port of Dover. It's not possible to do it.
What will you do then when you have tariffs between Europe and us?
So we will not stop lorries in the port of Dover. Goods flow through borders almost seamlessly around the world anyway. Go to some of our ports on the East Coast that take goods from outside the European Union, where the goods flow through smoothly and depart pretty much as soon as they arrive.
Let's hear from the people of Dover.
That's what's going to happen.
That's the assurance from the Secretary of State for Transport.
That was obviously from Question Time on the BBC back when David Dimbleby was in the chair. But, that is so completely at odds with reality that it actually popped up in my feed this morning and I suddenly saw what was going on. So what Sunak is doing is just giving the faithful, if you like, the members of the cult, something to shout. In the same way that Chris Grayling, in complete defiance of reality, in complete defiance of all evidence, all understanding, Nadine Dorries-esque levels of delusion and ignorance being displayed there by the Secretary of State for Transport, remember. I mean, if he doesn't know what's going to happen after you leave a customs union, then what chance is there of your average voter knowing? But he gave the faithful something to throw at the experts. He gave the supporters of corruption and immorality and dishonesty something to throw at the defenders of morality and integrity and probity. It was a complete lemon. It was a completely meaningless weapon, but it was at least a weapon. It was something they could throw. And that, I think, is what Rishi Sunak is trying to do today. So he is claiming that there is some sort of necessity involved in his wife not paying the same rate of income tax to the exchequer of which she is Chancellor that you and I pay. That is simply not true. But you will hear, perhaps not on this programme, but certainly elsewhere on LBC, you will hear people queuing up to repeat that deception. You will hear people queuing up to repeat that canard. In the same way that back in the day we had loads of people ringing up to repeat the nonsense that you just heard Chris Grayling spouting about Dover. By the way, there are queues around Dover that are, at least as long as the ones that Chris Grayling just insisted we would never see. So, and there are checks of precisely the type that Chris Grayling insisted there would never be. So the invitation to ignore the evidence of your eyes and ears has never been clearer. And Sunak's come up with several things. On the one hand, it's somehow racist or misogynistic. This is quite incredible. Absolutely incredible. All you need to ask yourself, if you're worried that you might have accidentally turned into a misogynist or a racist, is if this was the white husband of, let's say, Theresa May, who was embarking upon this sort of behaviour, would you be more or less outraged by it? And if the answer is exactly the flipping same, James, obviously, then you are neither racist nor misogynistic, but the kind of people who've spent much of the last few years speaking ignorantly and meaninglessly about identity politics are now engaging in precisely the sort of behaviour that they're supposed to find abhorrent. I think Greg Hands is leading the line on that one, and he was on Question Time last night claiming that the £200 loan that Rishi Sunak has offered you to help with your energy bills isn't actually a loan at all, except it is. never has the invitation to ignore the evidence of your eyes and ears been so clear. So here we are. Either you're yanking your forelock so hard this morning that you're in danger of pulling your own head off, or it's clear to you that it is absolutely abhorrent that the wife of the Chancellor of the Exchequer pays a smaller percentage of tax on her income into the Exchequer than you do.